Hey everyone, Silver here, and today I'm doing a bit of a weird video. This is going to be in reply to BirdKeeperToby's Pokemon, what if he was a Pokemon champion. In this particular case, what if I was Pokemon champion. So, stay tuned as I guide you through what it would be like if I was the champion. You arrive at the pinnacle of your journey. You face many foes to get here. 8 equally difficult gym leaders and many trainers between. But you overcame them all. And now your final challenge is the Pokemon League. You look upon what appears to be a glass-paned building reflective of the sky above, and on the front of it is the symbol of the Pokemon League, and so you step inside. Once inside, you find yourself in what almost looks like a reception area, and on your left is a built-in Pokemon Center. Good thing too, as this will be your last chance to prepare your Pokemon for what is to come. And on your right, a Pokemon Mart that also appears to be a gift shop. In the center you see 2 large men in black suits and glasses guarding an elevator. You approach them and they ask you to present your 8 gym badges. As you do, the elevator opens and they stand aside. This is it, the beginning of the end. You arrive on the first floor and you're greeted by an entire floor of an edge-to-edge swimming pool. There are 2 platforms for trainers and a few extra platforms floating on the water for the Pokemon. And there you see your first member of the Elite Four, Misty. She steps forward and tells you of how she was originally the Cerulean gym leader, but was invited to become an Elite Four member because of her skill handling water-type Pokemon. After this, battle begins and Misty opens up by sending out her Golduck. In reply, you send out your first Pokemon, defeating her Golduck easily. So she follows up this with her Greninja, which gives it its all, but still stands no match to your Pokemon. And so she decides to follow up with her Milotic, which regardless of the valiant effort that it put up, you still completely obliterated it. And so she sends out Starmie, her last resort Pokemon and her oldest Pokemon that she owns. But still you thwarted her assault, and so she concedes defeat, and warns you that your next opponent is significantly tougher than she was, and then proceeds to open the elevator to the next floor. As you emerge, you see a brightly illuminated floor and a large steel arena. On the opposing side of this arena, you see Clement, who introduces himself as the second member of the Elite Four and a renowned inventor. Following this, battle ensues. Clement opens up by sending out a Patrisu, but you of course have this, and so he's forced to send out his next Pokemon, Magnezone, which jumps in with a full frontal assault, throwing everything it has at you. But even this cannot stand to your Pokemon. And so, Clement sends his third Pokemon, Heliolisk, his trusty old friend, which fights bravely, giving its all, but still, it succumbs to your Pokemon. But now, Clement is at the end of his rope, and so is forced to resort to his most powerful Pokemon, Luxray. This Pokemon certainly isn't a Pokemon to be toyed with, and still, after a final tiring bout, you defeat it. And so Clement congratulates you on your win and opens up the next floor. Arriving on the 3rd floor, you're greeted by the pleasant smell of freshly mown grass and then an array of flowers. Around you is a field that looks like the contents of a greenhouse, and there you find Ramos, who introduces himself as the 3rd member of the Elite Four. After this, your battle begins and Ramos opens up with his victory bell, but regardless you defeat this, and so he sends out his Go-Go, his old friend, but still it stands no match to your team. And after it succumbs to your Pokemon, he sends out his Tangrowth, which certainly begins to give your Pokemon a run for their money. But still your Pokemon emerge victorious, and so he finishes by sending out his Venusaur. As his last ditch effort, he Mega Evolves it, and this is where your most powerful opponent so far attacks. But still, after all of the smoke clears, you emerge victorious, and so Ramos wishes you well, and tells you that your next opponent will definitely be one of the hardest, as he opens the elevator to the next floor. You arrive on the 4th floor, and you enter to a modern room filled with different symbols, a large Kanto Earth badge, to a wall-sized print of the battle tree in Alola. Before you stand your final challenge before the champion, Blue, who goes on to tell you of his previous exploits as a gym leader and former champion of Kanto, before telling you how he was invited to be a member of this Elite Four, the final member. And so, battle ensues and he sends out his first Pokemon, Arcanine. This Pokemon already poses a serious threat to your attack at the title, but you take it down. And so he reveals his next Pokemon, Executor, but even this does not fail your team. And so he draws his second to last Pokemon, Gyarados. This battle could be close with strong Pokemon like this, but you persevere to finish it off, and so he draws his final Pokemon, his trump card, his Alakazam. He immediately Mega Evolves his Alakazam and comes at you with all he has, and after a very close battle, with all your Pokemon being as tired as possible, you finally emerge victorious. And so, as the smoke clears, Blue comes up to you, shakes your hand, and tells you that your next opponent, the champion, is waiting, as he opens the elevator to the final floor. Upon arriving at the final floor, you walk in the room to see an incredibly high ceiling, and either side of the wall coloured yellow, red, green, blue, lilac and black, and the far wall with nothing but glass covering, giving a view of the open sky from your position. Standing in the centre far end of the room is me, Silver, staring out the window. I turn to face you with a smile on my face and say, "Welcome. You have done well to make it this far. Very few have seen the inside of this room, and so congratulations on how far you have come. But now, I am your opponent, and I will defend my title with everything I have." And so the final battle begins. I send out Lumina, my Pikachu, first, who has defended this title more than a few times, and not only that, taking down entire teams alone. But even with all of its power, it still stood no match to your team. And so I send out Inferna, my Charizard, my reliable, trustworthy friend, who in turn comes at your Pokemon with all it has, but still, it stands no match. As such, I send out Viridis, my Torterra, my powerful Pokemon, with ground type attacks to boot. It comes at you with all it has, with every move in its arsenal, but still, you keep a level head and take this Pokemon down. And so, I send out Steve, my Feraligatr, a very powerful friend with so many powerful attacks. It comes at you and bombards you with assault after assault, but still you persevere and you defeat him. And so, I send out my second to last Pokemon, Zephyr, the Pidgeot, who follows up to attack from all angles using its ability of using the sky above. But still, even with all of its efforts, you managed to persevere again, and so I'm left to my last resort. I send out Blood Moon, my shiny Absol, my most powerful Pokemon. I then Mega Evolve Absol, and so the final section of the battle ensues. Blow after blow, attack after attack, it comes right down to the wire. But still, even with all of my strength, you emerge victorious. You are now the new league champion. And so I say, that was the toughest battle I have had since I became a Pokemon trainer. Thank you. And now, you are the league champion. We walk into the elevator together and rise to the peak of the tower. When we arrive, we see the Hall of Fame. There I induct your Pokemon to Hall of Fame, where your Pokemon stand for eternity as champions. Congratulations, Pokemon Master. Well, if you had enjoyed my Pokemon League setup, I hope you leave a like. And if you didn't, then leave in the comments below why you didn't. However, that's been my Pokemon League challenge. As Toby asked, I want to see yours. If you have an idea of a challenge of your own, leave it in the comments below, or if you think that you could have done this better, then leave a comment about that too. However, this has been fun, to be honest with you. So, with all that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.